stuff, I'm back again, and this is going to be my Pan That Palette update, my first update. I probably haven't made as much progress as you've seen some other people make. I don't wear makeup every day, but it's, yeah, I am making progress, it's just not huge progress. So this is actually the palette I'm panning. This is the Models Prefer Day to Night Shadows. It is sort of a dupe for some of the Naked palettes, so that's what that looks like. And I'm going to zoom in so we can get sort of a closer look at the palette. And it helps if you go the right way. Hello. Okay, so we'll start on the dark end. This one here, which is nighttime, it's hard to see, but there is a bit of a dip starting in there. I mainly use that to set my eyeliner. This one here is Downtime. It's kind of a silvery shadow. I really not sure, probably going to use that like twice. This one here is Happy Hour. I'm actually wearing that on my lid today. It doesn't show much progress, but I've used it a few times. The next one is Hot Date, which comes off a bit lighter than I would expect up that end of the palette. It's more of a, it doesn't want to focus. It's more of a blending out sort of shade, well, what I would use for blending out. The next one along is After Hours. This is probably the most used colour. I don't know if you can see that lovely little dip starting in there. I use that to darken the crease and often underneath the eye. The one next to it is Coffee Break. You can see it's got kind of like a weird texture on the top of it. I've used that quite a few times as well, especially on the lid. Then we have Overachiever, which is a sort of a rosy kind of shade. I've used it a few times on the lid, but not a whole lot. And then next to that, sorry, getting harder for me to see, right there is Co-Worker. I don't think I've used that one very much at this stage. This one here is Workaholic. I've used that a few times to help with blending out, but I'm using another blending out colour, so I haven't really been focusing on that one because I figured it will get used later on when I finish the other one. Overtime, I have used actually quite a bit on the lid when I want a lighter look on the lid. It's not getting a huge dip. It could be the way that I use eyeshadows too. This one here is Voicemail. I use that occasionally for the brow bone, and the same with Deadline. They're not hugely different to, sorry, they're not hugely different to each other. One of them's slightly more peach toned, but other than that they're basically the same colour. Zoom back out now. It's a bit creepy seeing my own face like clips. That's better. Yeah, so there's a few colours that I'm making a bit of progress with, but it doesn't really look like I'm getting too far. But I'm not. None of them are being used with a particularly fluffy brush, which might be part of the reason. I tend to use a brush like this one to pack the colour onto the lid, and then I use this one for doing under the eye and defining in the crease. So, and I use the end of this double-ended one that came with it, I use to set my eyeliner, or to do eyeliner if I do a powder eyeliner. So it's probably why it's not super obvious that any of them have been hugely used, because I don't tend to dig in one spot. I tend to go over the whole of the pan, if that makes sense. Yeah, so I mean it's only a month in, and a year is a really long time. The fact is I may not end up finishing panning the palette, but I want to make a good attempt of it and at least hit pan in the shades that I use quite a bit. Yeah, but I'm not hugely concerned at this stage. It's more for me, it makes life easier because I don't have to think about what shadows to use. I can just, and like with using the Project Pan, it defines what you're going to use, which means you don't have to think about it, which when I go back to school at the end of the month, it's going to be a bit more important because I'm going to have to get up really early and get ready and organised, and I have to have a made up face every day that I go, so yeah, there's that. So that is my update for my Pan That palette. If you didn't know, Pan That palette was started by Amber F, and I'm going to leave a link down to her channel down below so you can go and see the lady who inspired so many of them, so many people on YouTube who are doing them this year. She's actually doing the Lorac Pro this year, but she panned the whole of the Naked One? I think it was Naked One, last year, which was an amazing achievement. Yeah, so if you would like to subscribe and keep track of what I'm doing, then click down below. Leave me a thumbs up if you like Project Pan type videos, and don't forget to check out my playlist for Project Pan. I'll leave that down in the down bar as well, and leave me a comment because I try to respond to all comments, and I'll see you in my next video. See ya.